Welcome back to Chronicles. We're here at the end of chapter 8. We've just had Peter declare that Jesus is the Messiah, and then he's predicted his death. So once they've got who he is, then Jesus starts to talk about why he's come. And now we see what it means to follow Jesus. If he is the Messiah, if he has come to die for us, now we see what it means. So we're reading from verse 34. Then he called the crowd to him, along with his disciples, and said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with the holy angels." And he said to them, "Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see that the kingdom of God has come with power."
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, Jesus is speaking big truth here, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's asking some serious questions like, "What are you worth? What is your soul worth? What could you gain from the whole world? What's your ambition? What could you swap for a human life?" It's amazing, And he's saying this because he's calling the crowd to himself just after this sort of bombshell moment with Peter. They know now who he is, and now they're going to start to learn about why he's come. He calls the crowd to him and says, "Look, if you want to be my disciple, guess where that's going to lead you? You're going to die. Come and die."
I know. It's quite a weird thing, isn't it, to say that? And it's like, it's probably completely the opposite of what a lot of people would expect Jesus to say.
And it does get confused today, doesn't it? It's like you've got a heavy cross to bear there, sort of thing. And a lot of people sort of they sort of see the cross as any sort of general hardship,
right?
Hardships are they are burdens to bear, but specifically Jesus here is talking about, no, if you're going to follow me, then you will go. I'm going to the cross, and if you want to be my disciple, then you're going to go the road of shame and of ridicule, and everything I'm going to suffer. Then you're going to have to be willing to suffer the same. And you need to count that cost. You're willing to go. And it's being obedient to the Father as well, isn't it? Jesus trod that path because he was being obedient to the Father, and if we are going to be his disciples, we also tread the path of obedience, and often that does mean suffering and stuff in this world, it's well, like, we've got to understand, like, Jesus, he pays for our sin on the cross. That obviously, we're not going that far. We're not sort of, we trust in him. He does he pays the sacrifice. But everything else, he becomes our example in a sense, doesn't he? Like, he hangs naked on a cross, and everybody looks at him and says, "That cannot be a king. That cannot be the way to live. That's not the way to life. That is utter shame and humiliation. And no person who's sort of ambitious in this world is going to want to follow that."
That's right.
But Jesus says, whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it.
It's a clever way of talking, because if you read that without knowing anything about Jesus, you sort of think, "Oh, I'm going to have to lose my life. Oh, I'm going to have to give that up for something that's rubbish." But actually, he then goes on to say, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world but then lose their soul? He's actually saying, no, you've got it the wrong way round. Like, you think giving up even the whole world is a sacrifice to follow me. No, like, in losing that, you gain your soul.
It's a staggering claim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's a man, he's a nothing to the teachers of the law, to the Roman, politicians, or who are you? Just just carpenter
Yeah.
from a podunk place,
Yeah.
and you're saying, what good is it for someone to gain the whole world? I'm worth more than the whole world.
Definitely.
Any Lamborghini, Ferrari, any
Yeah.
any top penthouse you can think of, any no, I'm worth more.
Yeah.
Come follow me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is Jesus, when Jesus taught that you have to eat him.
Yeah.
He's the bread of life. And people were like, that's a hard teaching.
Yeah.
And it separated those who were really serious about him, because a lot of people nowadays will say, I believe in Jesus. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Do you?
Yeah.
Or
did you read what he said?
Yeah. Are you chasing things in this world?
Are you willing to admit you're an adulterous generation?
Right.
And your sinful generation. That's what Jesus thinks of you.
Yeah. And particularly in verse 38, if anyone is ashamed of me and my words.
Yeah.
So nowadays we often a lot of Christians are apologetic about sin. Let's not talk about sin in this way, or maybe maybe Jesus didn't mean that, and we're a bit ashamed of him in some ways because he's starting to call the world out on different things. And as society moves away from Christian sort of heritage and teaching, there's going to be a choice that we make. Do we stick with Jesus and what he said, or do we go with the world and are a bit embarrassed by Jesus?
Yeah, well, he says, look, if you're ashamed of me, then, what does he say? When he come,
the Son of Man will be ashamed of them. Yeah, and that's a truly scary
The Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory. Again, it's just staggering claims that he's making.
Yeah,
he's coming in his Father's glory.
Right.
Amazing.
So anyway, I guess, are we ashamed of the world, or are we ashamed of the Son of Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question for you.